How many times in life have we wished for a second chance? Well, today we'll be talking about someone who had one, and that was Lazarus. His account begins in John chapter 11, and we'll be reading verses 1 through 4. Now a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Here we learn two things. First, that Lazarus was Mary's brother, but more than that, we learn that Jesus loved him. I'd like us to focus a bit more on verse 4. While yes, the sickness that Jesus was referring to was a physical death, that's all it was. We also know that Lazarus got a second chance to live because verse 45 says, Many who went to visit Mary, seen what Jesus did, and believed him. I'd now like to begin reading chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. Then, 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus was, who had been dead, whom he had raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served. But Lazarus was one of those who sat at the table with him. Then Mary took a pound of very costly oil of spikenard, anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the oil. Lazarus, the very same man who physically died, was able to recline with our Savior less than a week before Jesus' own physical death. It's clear that Lazarus took his second chance at life, and he used it well. What does that have to do with us today? Everything. Could you imagine how Lazarus must have felt eating this meal with Jesus, especially knowing the context behind this opportunity that Lazarus had? Spiritually, ours is the same. We partake of the Lord's Supper to remember Jesus' sacrifice, which saves us from spiritual death, so that we can potentially have a second chance, and many more. Also, while we do take the Lord's Supper, Jesus is there with us, but only in spirit until our physical death, where we will recline with Jesus for all of eternity. Mary's sacrifice of the perfume was a sweet-smelling aroma, but how sweet must the aroma of God's people be while in unison we memorialize our Savior as we partake. Thank you for listening.